Greetings, math fans. All right, so this is day 5, and today we're going to talk about negative exponents. It's very sad. Somebody's got to talk about it, though. Okay, so you probably remember a little bit of this from Algebra 1, but let's kind of review it. It's x to the negative 3, right? If I have a negative exponent, you guys need to remember, you basically move it to the other side of the fraction. So it's 1 over x cubed. So you move it to the other side of the fraction, and you change the sign from negative to positive. Okay, so let me just write that out here. With a negative exponent, you basically move the variable to the other side of the fraction. So move the variable to the other side of the fraction. It's kind of the first thing you do. And you say then make the exponent positive. Okay? So what I mean by that is, like I said, what we did is we literally did 1 over that x and then made it cubed, positive, right? So if I gave you a problem like this, 1 over x to the negative 3, again, you follow the same rules. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to make, you're going to move the variable to the other side of the fraction, so that basically goes to the top of the fraction, okay? And then you make that exponent positive, so it's really x to the positive 3. And we could say over 1, but really it's x to the 3rd power. You don't really say over 1 ever, right? I mean, it's kind of like walking down the street and, you know, somebody says, hey, how old are you? And you go, oh, I'm 16 over 1 years old. I mean, you just don't say those things, all right? You can, but you kind of sound dorky, all right? So, but remember, you only, like if you have a few variables, so I'm going to kind of write this out here, then I'm going to do an example. So remember, only move variable with negative exponents. To the other side of the fraction. Okay, so only move the variables. I'll say move variable or variables, right? It can have more than one with the negative exponents. If it's got a positive exponent, do not touch it. Okay, you cannot touch variables that have positive exponents because they belong where they are. Okay, so let me show you. Let me give you an example here. So if I had x to the negative 3rd, y to the 5th, over a to the 4th, b to the negative 10th. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line here and see that x to the negative 3rd going to this other side of the fraction and it becomes positive. See that y to the 5th? It's staying where it's at because it's positive. Okay, got everything on the top. Now let's move to the bottom. A to the 4th, that's staying where it's at, and b to the negative 10th going to the top. So b to the positive 10th, and that's your answer. What? That's it? Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, you are only touching this guy right here and this guy right here that have negative exponents. Okay, you're not touching anything else. All right, so and I kind of even said here, just if there's no variable left on top, make sure you write 1 on the top. I know this is kind of a silly thing for some of you guys because you're like, well, of course, but I'm gonna write this out here. If no variable left on top, if there's no variable left on top, then write a 1 on top. Guys, that makes sense. So here's an example. X to the negative 8th over z to the 4th. Okay, so the only thing that moves down is this guy right here. That z to the 4th stays there. So on the bottom, you get z to the 4th, and then you get x to the 8th. Well, of course, there's nothing there, so make sure you put a 1 there. It doesn't make sense. You don't. If I ask you 1/4, you don't just leave it blank and go, oh, it's a 4 on the bottom there. You go, no, it's 1/4. Okay, so you need a 1. It's important. Okay, all right. Keep going here, math fans. Here's a big rule. Rule. We love rules. Okay, no negative exponents in the final answer. No negative exponents in the final answer. Okay? You can't have any negative exponents in your final answer. You need to move them to the other side of the fraction and make them positive. All right? Very, very important. Okay? So, I mean, just the examples that I showed you where you had, you start out with negative exponents and you move things around, you got to always have to have positive exponents. You can never, ever, ever leave a negative exponent in there. If you leave a negative exponent in there, I will mark it wrong. Here, let me change the color to red. We'll mark it wrong. So don't do that. Okay, so I can write no negative exponents, and then I mark it wrong. Ooh, like that. That was clever. Okay, no negative exponents. You would write that as 1 over x to the positive 1 power, or 1 over x. Okay, cool. Let's talk about negative exponents with numbers now. Okay, so negative exponents with numbers. So basically here, this is the deal. Never leave a number with an exponent. Now, kind of be careful when you're checking your answers in the back of the book. Your answers, the back of the book actually leaves numbers with exponents, but you don't do that. It's just nobody really knows what you're talking about. If you leave an answer of like 2 squared, you got to make it 4. Okay, we need to know a number. Obviously, variables you got to leave them with exponents because there's nothing you can do with it. But a number, you can take it and raise that to that exponent and come up with an answer. Okay, so never leave a number with an exponent. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to use your calculator, and you're going to use this little up arrow guy. We call that a caret. Looks like a sad face. Okay, but it's a little up arrow on your calculator, and I believe it's on the left-hand side, like the 4th button up. I don't have a calculator with me now, but I believe it's on the fourth. So the left side on the TI-30X2S. Okay, it's on the left, and it's either the 4th or 5th button up, but it's called the caret. Okay. Rabbits like this button. Just kidding. They might. I don't know. All right, so let me give you an example here. So 2 to the 5th power, you just type in 2 to the 5th power. And you hit your enter, and you get 32. Okay? Pretty easy. When you're typing a negative value in, guys, use parentheses. All right, test this on your calculator right now. If you typed in -2 to the 4th power, do you guys agree that's -2 times -2 times -2 times -2, right? Okay. So that's going to give you a positive value. You guys agree that's supposed to be positive? In fact, so 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, 16. So it should give you positive 16. If you typed in -2 to the 4th power, it's going to give you -16. Because what it's doing, it's actually doing PEMDAS, which you guys know, and it's doing the exponent first, so it's doing 2 to the 4th power, which is 16, and then it's putting a negative on after it and giving you -16. And that's wrong. Okay, you don't want to do that. So in order to get the correct answer, use parentheses. It's -2, put it in parentheses, try it. -2 raised to the 4th power. And you'll see it's going to give you a positive 16 because it's literally saying -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. It's really doing it correctly. Okay? If you're never sure, or if you're unsure about something, put parentheses in there. You could never use too many parentheses. You really can't. All right. So even if you have a positive value, I don't care. Throw a parenthesis in there. Okay, it's going to give you 16. So always use parentheses. Very, very important. All right. Now, what happens? It's kind of an interesting one too. If I have like 1 over 2 to the 5th power, if you have 1 over 2 to the 5th power, The deal is with this problem is don't type this as 1 divided by 2 to the 5th power, because that's going to give you like a nasty decimal. My recommendation is do the work for this one and then just write 1 over. So if you type in 2 to the 5th power, you're going to get 32. And then you know your answer is going to be 1 over 32. Okay? It's much easier to do it that way. All right? And like I said, you'll get it. Otherwise, if you did it this way, this is like a super nasty decimal. So real quickly, another example, if I do like 2/5 to the 4th power. That's the same thing, guys. It's really 2 to the 4th power over 5 to the 4th power. Okay, don't type it together, because again, if you type in 2/5 to the 4th power, you're going to get a kind of a nasty little decimal. In fact, the decimal you'll get is 0.0256. 0.0256. Like, I don't know what that is. Okay, but if you type in 2 to the 4th power, so 2 to the 4th gives you 16, and 5 to the 4th gives you 625. Hey, there you go. That's it, man. 16 over 625. That's your answer. Okay? So that's pretty mellow. Let's see. What about negative exponents with numbers? Crazy. Negative exponents with numbers. All right, so what if I do 2 to the negative 3rd over 3 to the negative 2? Guys, this is just like variables. What do you do first? You move it to the other side of the fraction and you make it positive. So that top is going to go to the bottom, so it's going to be 2 to the positive 3. And the bottom is going to go to the top. It's going to become 3 to the positive 2 power. Hey, all right. Now I do 3 squared, which is 9. I do 2 cubed, which is 8. Hey, how you doing? 9/8. All right. So you want to rewrite it first. You want to rewrite. Okay. And guys, it's a really bad thing, but don't type in negative exponents into your calculator. Okay, you won't be happy. It'll take it, but you won't be happy. It's going to give you, if you type in 2 to the negative 3rd, it's going to give you, technically that's 1/8, so it's going to give you 0.125, and then you're going to be like, I don't really know what to do with that. Okay, much easier to rewrite it and then do the calculation and get 9/8. Okay, all right. Let's do a combo problem. Very exciting. Okay, combo problem. Okay, so let me give you kind of a crazy problem. You might cry, but if you're crying, just grab a Kleenex. 2 to the negative 4th, x to the negative 7th, over 3 to the negative 1, y to the 10th power. Okay, so here's the deal. You only, as we talked about already, only move negative exponents. Do not touch the positive exponents. Okay, only move negative exponents, and then we're going to evaluate it after that. So let me draw a line. That 2 to the negative 4th goes to the bottom. X to the 7th goes to the bottom. Okay, let's go to the bottom now. 3 to the negative 1, oh, that goes on top. 3 to the 1, and then y to the 10th, hey, that stays where it's at because it's positive. All right, now you evaluate. Obviously, you can't do anything with the variables because they're set, but this you can evaluate. So 3 to the 1 is 3 over 2 to the 4th power, 16, x to the 7th, y to the 10th. That's it. What? That's it? It's really not bad. Okay. All right, so that's pretty cool. Basically, if you've got parentheses, like if I gave you 2x to the 10th power, that exponent really goes to both the 2 and the x. So you have 2 to the 10th power, x to the 10th power. Okay, and then remember, evaluate this, put that in your calculator, 2 to the 10th power, it's a big number, 1024, and you can't do anything, x to the 10th, that's it, that's your answer. Okay, so one last guy here, if I do 3x to the negative 4th, that's going to be 3 to the negative 4th, x to the negative 4th. So what do you do when you have negative exponents? Remember, put it the other side of the fraction. If you want, you put a 1 underneath there to help you know it's a fraction, and they both move down. So it's 1 over 3 to the 4th, x to the 4th. And what do? You simplify 3 to the 4th. 3 to the 4th is 81. Put it in your calculator. That's 1 over 81, x to the 4th, and that's your final answer. Okay? So last thing here, no negative exponents in the final answer. We talked about that already. So I want to write it one more time. No negative exponents in the final answer. And no exponents with numbers. Which is what this is right here. I got rid of the negative exponents, and I said 3 to the 4th power is 81. Okay, so I don't want to see any answers, even though the book might have some answers. I don't want to see any answers like 6 to the 4th power. Boo! You need to calculate that out and give me an answer. X to the 4th power, that's okay. That's good. Okay. Okay? But 6 to the 4th, don't leave it like that. Okay? So that's it, math fans. That's a little bit about negative exponents, and hopefully you guys are good to go with this. All right? Have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.